Hello and welcome back. It's time for another round of Super Rugby Round 9 preview. I'm sorry that I'm recording this so late, hence the different setup, but nonetheless, we're going to kick on. Just before we go on, please guys, if you're not already subscribed, give me a subscribe and a like. It really helps me continue to grow the channel and to be able to bring more interviews, more takes, more opinions, and then more rugby content to rugby lovers like you. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So the first game of the weekend is actually quite a significant game coming up. It's the Hurricanes hosting the Crusaders, and this is actually a little bit of a derby match that is going to really determine I'm just looking at the table now. So the Hurricanes are on 7th and the Crusaders are on 2nd. There is actually a 9-point difference between them as far as the table is concerned, and it's going to be a hell of a clash because both sides do need to win. Crusaders need to win for the sake that they need to retain that spot up there in case the Reds get a win and they don't want to be sinking down further down the pecking order. And the Hurricanes really need to be climbing into that top 6, which is now dominated and has been for a couple of weeks by the Australian sides. But let's just get straight into the sides for the game actually itself. So for the Hurricanes, they remain almost virtually unchanged for the majority of the side, and there was some speculation that the fullback Ruben Love, who was having an absolute blinder for the last couple of weekends, he was going to move from 15 to 10, but nope. Clark Laidlaw has resisted that urge and has kept him at fullback where he has been so potent. So they're going to be really good. And of course, the Hurricanes, where are they going to try to do their stuff? They're going to try to power through the middle with the likes of Asafa Moore, Duplessis Karifi, Isaac Walker-Leawiri, and then of course also they've got Peter Larkide there at number 8. But if I'm not. Conversely, for the Crusaders, they welcome back 3 All Blacks in David Havili, Scott Barrett, as well as the third one, Tamaiti Williams up front. And they also welcome back Fletcher Newell into the starting side. He was on the bench last weekend, but now that is a formidable front row. No Cody Taylor this week, but there will be support in and around the players who are making their moves into the starting lineup like the hooker there is. But of course, where the I was about to say All Blacks, well, almost is an All Black side, where the Crusaders are looking to be able to really attack and expose this Hurricane side really is through the middle of the park, where they want to try to dominate and assert themselves. And the Hurricanes proved last week that they might not be able to get into gear as quickly as some sides may be able to, and they really rely heavily on their defensive pressure and their ability to turn over ball, and that may actually dictate the result depending on if the Crusaders can get back into their groove. So they do a little bit of a switch around. So Severis goes back from 13 out to the wing. You've got Tahe Kamara at number 10 now. James O'Connor back on the bench. And you've got Noah Hotham at 9, if I am not mistaken. No, that is indeed correct. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to be a really exciting game. But as far as prediction goes, I do think that the Crusaders are just that little bit too strong, despite with a little bit of a rotated squad, and they welcome some strength from the All Black sides back. They're going to be too strong away at the Hurricanes. The next game on Friday you're looking at is the Waratahs hosting the table-topping Chiefs in Sydney. And I think what most people are looking at is, wow, okay, this is going to be an absolute thumping. But there is actually a little bit of a train of thought here that I'm going to explore with you quickly that may suggest that this Waratahs side may actually go better and play well. All things considered, that they're not going to be playing all their major Wallaby signings or the big names, because like the Chiefs and unlike the Blues, this is actually a side that is full of players that did the preseason and spent the most time with Dan McKellar and the rest of the coaches learning their systems, learning their strategies, learning the blueprint and gameplay to then be able to implement it. I know it's a few games into the season now, not more than a few. It's actually round 9 as we've highlighted. But nonetheless, this may be an opportunity for the players who truly understand what is required, all the way down to Teddy Wilson, who's still there because Jake Gordon is still injured, Lawson Crichton, who was there as well, and then you've got the Adams at number 7, and then you've also got Sinclair and Grant and Botha and Dobbins. They all did the preseason, and I know that this seems to go against conventional thinking, but perhaps they can gel and be more cohesive than having just the stars splattered out throughout it. Although we're going to see a little bit more of a mix-up in the back line because Suoli's back at 15, Kellaway's on one wing, Tristan Riley's on the other, and we have got no Henry O'Donnell this week. We've got Lalakai Feketi and Joey Walton in the centres, and that is a pretty solid centre pairing. So although this isn't a star-studded side, we are looking at a more cohesive unit, and that actually may play in favour for the Waratahs. They do have some good players and some big players coming off the bench. One of them, Miles Amaterasero and Talataina. No, sorry, not Talataina. The back row replacement. Oh yeah, Talataina, sorry. Just didn't want to get the name wrong. He is an extremely powerful ball runner, and Miles Amaterasero is a really physical player, but it just appears that like Dan McKellar hasn't quite seen what he wants out of the big behemoth. But I do think that this game is one of those games that Miles Amaterasero can really assert himself and put himself back into that conversation for a starting lock for the Waratahs. Talking about star-studded sides earlier, not the Waratahs being one necessarily, as they are often other weeks, especially with Tanya Tupo on the bench. Damian McKenzie and the Chiefs are a star-studded side this week, and it's starting with their starting 15, because on the last weekend, they rested some players and put them on the bench. This week, Tupo Vati, Semi Penny Finau, Josh Jacob back at 10, D-Mac back at 15, Samisoni Takioho coming in at hooker. These are the major players that are going to make a big difference. Some of them were on the Pine last week, and some of them, D-Mac was playing in a different position. And Quinta Pai is also back from the bench and straight into the number 12 alongside Gideon Rampling, which is a powerful centre combination. There is nowhere where this Waratahs side will be able to hide against this Chiefs side. And, as far as a prediction goes, I do think that the Chiefs are going to be too powerful and too strong. They've come across with their full strength side. Nevertheless, I do somehow think, and I know that sounds really ridiculous, but cohesion and cohesiveness is a really big factor in rugby, and I do think this Waratahs side will play better than than their individual parts. So this will be a really exciting game, I think. And Sydney, I hope a lot of people get out and support the Waratahs, because man, oh man, they're going to need it against a rampant Chiefs side. The first game on Saturday, it may just be the game of the round. I don't know if I'd ever actually thought I'd be saying this, but the Blues need to get a win against Moana. And if we just take a quick look at the table, you've got the Blues in 10th on 11 points and Moana in 8th on 15 points. It's exciting, but you know why? Because it's an Auckland derby. The two Auckland sides are going to go head to head, and for some reason, they've been playing awesomely. I mean, the Blues aren't on a bad patch themselves. They've won a couple of games, but then also Moana, they've won their first back-to-back 2 games in a row in their history of the competition, and now they're going into with the potential to be able to go for a third, and that's really, really exciting. And Tano Umaga and his side are looking really strong, and they do welcome back some cavalry this week, but they have does a little bit of a change around. So they've got a new number 9 there, as you can see, and they've gone with Jackson Garden Basham at number 10 with Patrick Pellegrini, who's been the absolute standout fly half in the competition, shifts back to the bench. I do have a little bit of a theory of this, but we'll just finish off on the Moana side and then we'll go into that. But from the bench, they have some reinforcement through Sione Havili Talitui, who is a big part of that back row. They also welcome back Miracle Failangi in the number 6 jersey, which will assist in their ability to pressure the Blues breakdown and really play off that, counter-attack turnover ball, which is what they do best with the likes of Karen Mofolau. And now Patafilo on one wing. He shifts out of the centers, with Lalomilo in the center combination there alongside Danny Tuala, and that is a really powerful, strong center combination. There was some worries that Lalomilo might have injured his leg last week. Nonetheless, he has recovered from that and he continues to play on. It's going to be interesting because the Moana side have really struggled to be able to captivate their momentum and their game style in the first 40, but as we know, they come rearing hot and go really hard in the second 40. So maybe this change around with Jackson Garden Basham and the 9 is about really getting that front foot ball and getting on the front foot in the first half, and then being able to then come home strong, even stronger in the second half. Maybe it's just about changing that inertia around them not playing too well in the first 40. Now for the Blues, they have a virtually unchanged side, and it looks like a pretty strong side that they've put together. Ricky Riccitelli comes back in. Aside from that, it's virtually an unchanged starting 15. And for that reason, the Blues are going to look to continue their cohesion and continue their momentum. And as far as a prediction goes, I know that the Blues are traditionally the strongest side, but there is something about Moana at the moment that just makes you want to believe. And I think that has actually convinced me to say that Moana will take this one. It won't be a lot, and it won't be anywhere near as high scoring as previous games have been, but with Moana involved, even though they are the highest the highest point scoring side, I do think this will be a really tight game, and it'll be really exciting for that reason. Nowhere near as scrappy as the Hurricanes and Blues game last weekend, but it will nonetheless not be as high scoring as it has been in previous weeks. Then the second game on the Saturday is the Highlanders hosting the Fijian Drua. I think that this game really starts to become crucial for these two sides. Highlanders want to climb back into that into the top six there. Fiji just want to get off the bottom because they have been having a terrible run really in this competition so far. But that really could change, and this could be the catalyst for change this weekend in the Deep South against the Highlanders. If we go with the home side, they've actually had a lot of injury-forced changes in their setup, and that's seen positions all throughout the side really get a bit of a shake-up. So if we go through here, Mitch Dunshire, Caleb Tangitau, and TK Howden all ruled out with injuries, and then Sean Withy, of course, their captain, who's been extremely important and really he's been driving that impactful, dominant defensive mindset. He's suspended now for 3 weeks due to that knee to Harry Potter in last week against the Western Force. So that they are some significant, some significant changes for the home side, but nonetheless, they do welcome back some important cavalry. And as if the back three for the Highlanders needed to be any more dangerous, they welcome back Jacob Raitamai Tavuki Neepkins, and he is going to be an absolute handful for the Fijian Drua on a dry track because he is electric with ball in hand, is extremely fast, and he's actually getting to be a quite experienced player. So that is going to be extremely exciting for the Highlanders to welcome back them. And just look at that back three. Like, what are you talking about there? You've got Jonah Nareki, Taniela Filimoni, which is on debut, and then JRK. So it's going to be really, really exciting. They've got Sam Gilbert on the bench, which is going to give them good cover wherever, if any injury goes. I think the biggest change is with Caleb Muntz, the regular fly half, or one of the regular fly halves, shifting back to 15. No Drew Asesio Karawalevu there this weekend. And so you've still got Isaiah Armstrong-Ravula running the cutter from number 10. He's partnered there by Simeone Kuravola, who's an extremely impressive and attack-minded number 9, which is going to perhaps force the Highlanders to be think a little bit more carefully about how they're going to use their rush and how they're going to use their defensive patterns around the ruck, because Kuravoli will absolutely use that opportunity to snipe and take some space off them. It's going to be a humdinger of a game because those contacts, the Highlanders are one of the most dominant defensive teams, and then the Fijians are not a team to shy away for contact. How this ends up in a prediction, I do think that the Highlanders at home, knowing that the Fijians haven't travelled too well, especially after a loss to the Crusaders, which would have been disheartening, I think it's just enough to be able to allow the Highlanders to take this one. Not too big a margin, but it's going to be a tight game. Nonetheless, Highlanders will take it. And then the final game of the round is the Queensland Reds hosting the ACT Brumbies at Suncorp, and it is going to be an absolute Wallabies bonanza. There are head-to-head going everywhere, and it starts up front. We're just going to go down the team list, and we'll just go all in one. So we've got James Slipper and Alan Alatoa in the front row, alongside Billy Pollard for the hooker, going up against Matt Fesler, who's the incumbent Wallaby hooker, and you've got Zane Nongo and Sef Fangase. So that is a Wallabies potential Wallabies fringe players going head to head. That's going to be really exciting. In the second row, you've got Josh Canham taking alongside Lukan Salakaia-Loto, taking on Nick Frost and Tom Hooper. So that's right, Tom Hooper shifts into the second row, and that actually allows for a little bit of a bulkier and a little bit more of a dominant gain line orientated forward pack for the Brumbies, because you've got Rob Valentini at number 6, the current Johnny Hill medalist. Then you've got number 7, you've got Rory Scott, who's definitely bulked up over the offseason. And then at number 8, you've seen the return of Tai Tuatalima, who has been gone, unfortunately, due to he contracted dengue fever in round 1 against the Fijian Drua, only now returning from illness, but he is a key purchase for them, one of the 2 or 3 key purchases in the offseason to be able to provide a gain line carries and punch with ball in hand. And he replaced Jerome Brown, who went over to the Chiefs, and he's been absent, so this is going to be really important to see what he can do and what he can bring to the Brumbies. And I think that his extra carrying power really can help the Brumbies to achieve a more fluent game style, and that's going to come from Ryan Lonergan and also Nola Lassie in the 9 and 10 jersey. And they're going up against another Wallaby pairing. So Ryan Lonergan, captain of Australia A a couple of years ago, played Australia A last year, I believe. But then he's going up against one of the incumbent Wallaby halfbacks in Tate McDermott, and also one of the incumbent Wallaby number 10s, which is Tom Liner. So that is going to be really interesting to see who is the better orchestrator, because they both are orchestrator players. They're not running number 10s like Ben Donaldson. They don't really have that in their game. Liner definitely less so, but Loloseo can run when he gets the space, and he has shown that in the past. Nonetheless, both of them are really just going to be working on getting their teams in the right ends of the field and directing their piggies around that breakdown area and into the rucks and Reds. Their pods. And then for the Brumbies, you've got the stable, reliable trio of Andy Muirhead, who's playing his 100th. Congratulations to Andy Muirhead. He's an absolute stalwart of Brumbies rugby, and he probably deserves to be, he definitely deserves to be in that First Nations Pacifica invitational game at the end of the during the Lions series, sorry. And also, not to be remiss for me not to mention Tate McDermott. Congratulations, he's also running out for his 100th cap, so that's going to be really exciting for him. And then you've also got Corey Toole, the speedster, on one wing for the Brumbies, and at fullback Tom Wright. The benches look pretty evenly split. There's good experience. There's good members to come on. The Reds have got Jeffrey Tumunga-Allen and Alex Hodgman to come off on the from the bench to in the front row, and I think they're going to be their tactic. They're really going to try to put some pressure late in the game on the Brumbies reserve scrum, and that is going to it's going to be interesting to see how that could potentially turn momentum or consolidate it, depending on where the Reds and the Brumbies are. As far as the prediction goes, I think that due to a couple of key changes in the Reds, which I actually missed out mentioning. So no Harry Wilson, he's injured. He's fractured. He's got a fractured arm and did so in the Chiefs game, and he'll be out for up to 6 weeks. So that could really, really impact how the Reds go. Nonetheless, Joe Bryle goes back to number 8 because he was at number 6 last week, and he shifts back to number 8. Then you got Seru Uru alongside Fraser McRae, and that is quite a significant change for the orientation and game style and effectiveness of someone like Fraser McRae, because they link so well, he and Wilson. Nonetheless, I do think that because Noel Lasio has now finished his contract negotiations and he's leaving to go to Japan on a 1-year deal, he will be really, really focused and free and able to really play his game. And I think that he will just have the confidence and wood over Liner in this situation. And I think the Brumbies have a way classically to unsettle the Reds' momentum, even in the previous skirmishes. And so I do think that the incumbency of some of the Brumbies players, especially their Wallaby players, will win out against their Reds counterparts. But please let me know what you guys think. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll be there with you. As I mentioned, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Really helps me to grow the channel, to give you guys more rugby content. I hope you enjoy the round that's coming up. I hope you enjoy the round of rugby. And if you're in Sydney, try to get to the women's grand final in North Sydney. Tickets are on sale now, so that'll be an absolute, State of Origin. Queensland taking on New South Wales for the winners' bragging rights of the entire competition. And then the winner will go on to play the Super Rugby or Picky, which is the New Zealand women's competition. Their winner in 2 weeks' time, I believe. So it's worth keeping an eye on this because it will have ramifications later on for that Trans-Tasman clash, as well as for the World Cup seedings. I think, not seedings, but who in the women's pool is playing really well, and it's going to give you a good idea of who the who's going to be comprising of the Wallaroos side. So nonetheless, guys, enjoy your weekend of rugby. I'll see you on Sunday for the review, and until then,